All right, my friends. Good evening. Are we ready to do this? Oh, I thought somebody stole my coffee. Oh, well, here we are. We have a few more people wandering in. Before you get too excited, either positively or negatively about the handouts, we should have plenty of the white ones for everyone. We should not have plenty of the orange and blue ones. I'll let you guess why I made these orange and blue. And they lost. And they lost. Yes, they did. But I have plenty of extra. If you don't make it to a table, you can get these. However, all resources today are available online at, there it is, sunrise.church/fraud. All right, there you go. Sunrise, and this website is live right now, so you can get there and you can click the link. You'll see why that's going to be ironic at some point here, and be able to download the different materials that are available that I'll talk about tonight. So if you don't get a paper copy, you can go onto our website, sunrise.church/fraud, F-R-A-U-D, and be able to download all these links. And then the white paper that you have is available right here under download notes. And that is all the notes that are the slides that I have up here tonight. So, sounds good? You ready? Okay, I am going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb right now. Let's see if we can do that. And we are on there. And then I'm going to click a couple of buttons. And today, if the slides are wrong, it's because of me, because I'm controlling them from right here. Hey, let's go ahead and pray, and we're going to jump into our first ever fraud prevention seminar at Sunrise, part of the Sunday night series. Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come to you. And we come to you, Father, with open hearts, a lot of us with heavy hearts, because we have people that are really close to us who have experienced fraud and who have, I know some people that have lost literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And Father, often it's just unrecoverable. And I pray that through what happens here tonight, that you would open our eyes to some of the things that are going on out there. Open our hearts, Lord. Maybe there are areas that some of us have seen that, or even fallen to along the way. And we're afraid to talk about it. And Father, would you heal us through this process? And Father, we just pray that you do a work here, that you do a work here. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Some of you might be asking me, Cliff, why on earth, how on earth are you qualified to teach this seminar tonight here at Sunrise? I'm not exactly qualified. I don't have credentials in fraud prevention, but I have a mom. And I have a mom that unknowingly allowed Medicare to pay $2,000 for what's in this box. Okay? Hello, I'm from your doctor's office. Is your knee hurting? Oh yeah, my knee's hurting. Which one's hurting? Oh, my right knee is hurting. Oh, okay. Is your left knee hurting? No. Are you sure it's not hurting? Okay, let me put you on the phone with the doctor. And a week later, a box full of that. And Medicare got billed $2,000. One of the most common Medicare scams out there. And she's fallen prey to it twice. And after that first time, it was time to start paying attention to what was going on. And going, how can I help prevent this from happening in the future? And then I was talking to her on the phone one day, and she says, hey, Verizon called, and they said I hadn't paid my bill. I said, Mom, you don't have Verizon. Well, they called. Mom, did you give them any of your information? No, I didn't do that. A couple of days later, $200 comes right out of her checking account. A couple of days later, a little bit more. A couple of days later, I'm best friends with her banker. So it's just real. It's right in front. It makes us angry. It makes us discouraged. And the things that my mom has fallen prey to are small compared to what others have. And so over the last several years, it's just been something that I haven't wanted to study and learn as I've had to. And I'll tell you, if we have time towards the end, some of the preventative measures we've put in place with my mom that can be helpful, especially if you are someone that's called to take care of an elderly parent or to keep an eye on an elderly parent. I want to give you some clues along the way, things that might help. If you are an elderly parent, I might give you a few challenges along the way too that have to do with trusting your kids, because sometimes that's hard. Love Proverbs 3. My son, do not lose sight of these. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, and they will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck. Then you will walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. And I underlined here, keep sound wisdom and discretion. Discretion means that you're paying attention. You're looking, you're asking questions. You're not completely trusting of what you're seeing. And a lot of times as Christians, as followers of Christ, it's easy for us to want to trust the people that we're talking to. And God's calling us to use discretion as we are doing that. And I love the word picture here that comes out where he says, then you'll walk on your way securely and your foot will not stumble. Notice I keep moving this cord that's up here. And I'm scared to death my foot's going to stumble. But I even think of stumbling as getting ensnared, right? Like the animal that's walking through the woods and they step into that area where the trap is hidden. And then they're stuck and they're ensnared in that. And the idea is to keep us paying attention to what is on the path in front of us and stopping before we walk through that minefield. Stopping when we see something that doesn't quite look right. And so that's the goal today. By way of introduction, by the way, the notes that you have in front of you as we get into this, the white set of notes that you have there, this one right here, these are my notes. These are what come directly from everything that I have put together. And then you're going to see some orange ones and blue ones, and that is one of our guests tonight has provided those that are going to be really helpful. On the white sheet, there's on various pages throughout, there are places where you can take notes on there and so on. So, okay. So we're going to run through this really quickly and jump into it. Top 10 types of fraud. You have imposter scams. Somebody is posing as somebody else to build your trust. We'll talk about that in a moment. Investment. Thank you. You were going to put that on my mouth? No. I like this guy. We have investment scams, okay? So you're looking at, hey, let's get rich quick, right? Make this investment, it'll be great. Online shopping scams, I've fallen to those before, especially on Facebook advertisements. We'll talk about that. Business scams, job opportunity scams, internet and mobile service scams. We have people in the room who have ended up stuck in those. And somebody calls posing as someone from Verizon, and suddenly it's a whole new story from there. Debt and credit scams, we're going to talk about that. Romance scams, you might think that's not real, it's very real. Fake package delivery texts, right? Anyone ever get that text that says we tried to deliver your package and it didn't, right? Get that one all the time. Fake toll and jury duty. This is one that happened in the Bay Area, because how many of us have that little fast track thing in our car for that, like, one time a year I drive through a toll booth, and then you'll get a text that says your toll is unpaid and they're going to come after you. They're going to get you. And then obviously AI-powered scams, and I'll tell you the story of a friend of mine who fell into one of those inadvertently without meaning to. So it starts with this. You're going to get a phone call, okay? That's usually where it happens. It's going to be a phone call. It's going to be an email. It's going to be a text that comes across your phone. It's going to be something that you see on social media, maybe a direct message that's been sent to you on Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media you have. It might be something in the mail that comes and it looks incredibly official. All right? Now, I have thrown out so many official pieces of mail thinking they were scams, because I've just gotten into the habit of doing that. I know people that have had checks shredded because they thought they were scams, because it just didn't quite look right. But this is the entry point. This is kind of where it starts. And this is where my goal tonight is to have you raise your level of awareness so that when the phone rings, you're not just answering the phone by habit and talking to somebody. When the email comes in, you're not just clicking that link that's in the email because it told you to click it. That we're going to think before we click. We're going to get into a few of those things. So this is the entry point. You might be asking this question: how do they get my information? You know, you have kind of multiple different kinds of scams. You know, they'll call and they'll say they're from Microsoft and they're ready to fix your computer, and they don't know who you are. They're going to try to figure out who you are through the phone call. But you have the other ones where they call and they use your name. They have your address. They obviously got your phone number. They have your email address. They have your social security number. How did they get that? And the answer is that they got that by going through data breaches. I currently know of at least 10 different data breaches that my information has been leaked on, okay? How many of you have Kaiser Permanente? Right? There is an active Kaiser Permanente class action lawsuit, right? And there was a massive data breach with Kaiser. I think it's ended up being about a $50 million settlement. So you have data breaches, and that's a big one. And your information, you had no choice. You didn't hand it over, but the company that you trusted it with, they inadvertently handed it over, and your information is out there. And it's out there. We'll talk about this in a second. But and so you have data breaches. You have phishing, okay? Everyone phishing, and put the phishing pole out there, okay? Somebody is going out there, and they're trying to hook you in. And so phishing scams, they hook you in. We'll talk about that. Fake emails, text calls. Piecing together publicly available data on social media. Okay, do not raise your hands. But I'd like you to think for a moment. How many of you let's think of it this way. That's why you won't inadvertently raise your hand. Think to yourself, have I ever done a security checkup on my social media? Have I locked my social media account so only my friends can see my information? Have I been on Facebook and there's a post on Facebook and that post says, what was your first car? I had a Datsun B210, a 1974 Datsun B210. I did, by the way. And they're like, oh, what high school did you do? I went to high school. Oh, what? They don't ask you your mother's maiden name. They're not that dumb. But you just hand over some of that personal information along the way, and guess what you just did? You, over time, have handed over security questions that happen to be a part of different websites that you might deal with where you give them your personal information and they ask you for security questions if you get locked out and you need to get back in. And you just gave them digits of your address. You may have given them, like I said, you may have given them your first pet's name. You may have given them the place where you met your spouse, like all of those kinds of things. So these are very real scams that happen. Public records, going through, they even go through your trash or mail. I've gotten into the habit of every single credit card offer that I get now, I just put that thing in the shredder. Okay, because they can take those credit card offers and go open a credit card in your account, in your name. And then even things as sophisticated as skimmers. And some of us are like, skimmers? I used a skimmer in my swimming pool to get the junk off. Well, what the skimmer does, it's usually on a gas pump or a place where you might slide your credit card. And they just put this tiny little device that's almost not noticeable. And as you pass your credit card into that gas pump and pull it out, that skimmer magnetically pulls the information off your credit card, and they have your information. And then they can go and start using it. And I know people that these happen to. And then that information can often end up on the dark web. Well, you might say, well, Cliff, what on earth is the dark web? I keep hearing about the dark web. People like to describe it like an iceberg. And so if you see the entire iceberg is the internet, but the tip of the iceberg is what you see of the internet. It's your online shopping, it's your social media. Online shopping, social media. It's just things that you do kind of day to day when you get on the internet. But there's a whole nother level, multiple levels. You have the deep web, and that is where banks will store their information, email servers happen and all that. And then you have the dark web, and the dark web at the bottom there is very mysterious. It's very hard to get into, and it's where the hackers get your information using all kinds of things, where that information gets bought and sold, because it's not trackable in the dark web. And so it's good to know what it is. Is there a lot that you can do about preventing your information from showing up on the dark web? Probably not a lot. But once it's there are a lot of things you can do to keep it from costing you a lot of money. So that's what we're going to talk about here. I love this quote from Abraham Lincoln. The problem with quotes found on the internet is that they are often not true. Thank you for laughing at that one. He's got a big grin on his face tonight, doesn't he? It's all right. I heard the Seahawks were doing quite well tonight. Okay, every one of these is a real one that has been encountered by somebody close to me. Okay, so pay attention. So these are not quotes off the internet. This one happened at the church. They called us on the phone, middle of the day. This is so-and-so from SMUD. You haven't paid your bills. We're getting ready to turn the power off. We're rolling the trucks. And the rough thing was that day is most of us happened to be up at Hume Lake at the time, where there was no cell service. And as I was wandering across by the pool, my phone started to pick up some Wi-Fi, and I was actually able to get a call from someone down here, said, SMUD called, and apparently we haven't paid our bill, and they said they're rolling the trucks. And so we need to pay the bill now. And then she hangs up. And I'm just kind of like, okay, this isn't right. Something is not right. And so I call back and I said, let them turn the power off. What's the worst that could happen? We'll save some money. Right? Let them turn the power off. It's the middle of the week, middle of the day, AC's on, turn that sucker off. Because they created panic. And then they told our staff member that they would only accept cash. At the Sunrise Mall. And at that time, that employee headed over to the bank. But we were able to stop them. And they didn't do it. But it was going to turn into a $5,000 scam, and that was not going to be recoverable money. So it's the kind of thing they're going to try to create panic. We're going to talk about that in a second. This one happened here at Sunrise as well. Someone got a call. I'm with Microsoft. There's a problem on your computer. There's always a problem on my computer. And it's probably Microsoft's fault, right? Windows 11 was a disaster. And so it's just believable enough that I've had some pop-up happen or something like that. My mom gets this one. Grandma, it's me. I'm in jail. Now, my mom is like, you are not my granddaughter, and she slams it, Okay? I'm calling from your doctor's office. That's the knees, the knee braces. You're experiencing any knee pain. This one happened to one of the people on our staff. Everything's okay, but your brother's been in a car accident. And they were looking to try to extort some money from him. Okay? So these are real things. And we got to understand kind of how this happens. So we're going to start with, how do you spot a scam, all right? It's going to be impersonation. It's going to be them pretending to be from an agency or an organization or a company that you know, all right? It's usually going to be something that you're mildly familiar with. They're not going to call and tell you they're from XYZ PDQ company that you've never heard of. It's usually, they're going to say, I'm from Verizon, I'm from Comcast, I'm from something that is going to, or it's going to be sufficiently vague, I'm from your doctor's office. Okay, the one I've been getting lately on my mom has been, I'm from Discover. And I make the mistake of trying to engage them, like Luke was talking about this morning. I make the mistake, I'm like, oh yeah? You're from Discover, huh? Yes, I'm from the Discover Fraud Department. I bet you are. I said, well, what company owns Discover? Well, we're from Discover. I said, what company owns Discover? Because I know that Discover was just merged with Capital One. The scammer didn't know that. And so they just kept saying they were from Discover, all right? So they're going to try to sound familiar, and the idea is they're going to gain your trust, or they're going to make you panic. We'll talk about that. They're going to say that you must pay in a specific way. All of you know we're going to talk about it. Again, I keep saying we're going to talk about this in a second. The gift card one is a big one. Is they're going to say, hey, can you go buy these gift cards and then scratch off the back where the numbers are and send me a picture of those. And that's how you're going to do your payment. And then you've turned around and given them Apple gift cards that they're going to turn around and sell those and make money off of them. Or go buy computers and buy computers and sell those computers and make money. I said the money one. I see my next slide on my screen here, but I didn't see the guy that's up here. So they're going to say there's a problem, money is due. They're going to pressure you to act, right? They're going to create panic. That is the idea. They're going to raise your blood pressure. If you have an Apple Watch, your Apple Watch is going to start telling you, hey, you're above 120 right now. Anyone have that happen today at 4 o'clock? Anyway. Maybe it was 3 o'clock, actually. And they're going to, because what's going to happen is when your blood pressure rises, when you start to panic a little bit, you physically can even start to get a tunnel vision. You're not thinking straight, and you suddenly will be made to make bad decisions, okay? So you got to just go, if this person that's talking to me right now, or this email that I'm getting is causing me to panic, there's probably something wrong with it. It's not quite right. So they're going to say, hey, you need to pay by Zelle. There was a notorious scam here in the last year where they were requiring Zelle. And Zelle had some problems with some banks, and we can talk about that in a few minutes. But this was one where there's like, no, you have to pay through Zelle to take care of this problem. And so again, if they're saying you have to do it this way, and this is the only way, so watch out for, they're saying you have to take cash to the Sunrise Mall. You have to do Zelle. I don't even have Zelle. You have to do Venmo. You have to do these kinds of things. You have to do crypto. You don't ever have to do crypto, okay? And so on. I don't know. Does anyone use money orders anymore? This person's not here, okay? So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about spoofing and we're going to talk about phishing. These are words that you're just going, what do these mean? What does spoofing and phishing mean? So spoofing is where we start. And I love this because you have the bad guy right over there, and he's pretending to be somebody familiar. If you go to Sunrise, there's a decent chance you have witnessed a spoofing scam right in front of you. Okay? Here we go. So you got the bad guy pretending to be somebody that is familiar, and they put the little checkbox off there that said, oh, that's somebody I know. That's somebody I recognize. It's in that kind of thing. So they are pretending to be somebody else. And so they are disguising an email address. They're disguising the name of the sender or a phone number or a website URL. So what's the website URL? The URL is that www.sunrise.church. That's our church's URL. And a scammer that's trying to make you think you're looking at Sunrise's website might do like www.sunrlse or something like that, where you don't even see that one of the letters was changed in the website address. That's how a spoofer would work. I'll show you in a moment how they do it with email. They might change a symbol, they might change a number, and so you think you're interacting with a trusted source. As we'll find out in a minute, there are some very elaborate scammers that have created entire websites that are similar to Chase or similar to your bank, or that they will get you logged in on their website and have you typing in your credentials for your bank account when you're actually doing it onto their website. That's when it starts to get really elaborate. So this is how spoofing works. All right, here we go. Here's the Sunrise spoofing scam. This started pre-Luke, okay? So back in that season when we were in between pastors back in 2018, 19, right in there, somebody sent out an email, and they sent it out to everybody on our staff. And it was from Cliff Carey, and said it was from Pastor Cliff Carey, and it went to everybody on our staff, and it said, can you contact me? I need something. Okay? This one happened September 6th of 24. And it was from Pastor Luke Miller. And if you look up on our screen there, you can see Pastor Luke Miller sent an email to our finance department. Okay? This was about a year and a half ago. And it simply said, if you're not busy, could we chat? Somebody responded right back, yeah, what do you need? Okay? And I'm putting up two different emails, the same email, in two different formats for a reason. The one on the left is from my phone. The one on the right is from my computer. Can you spot the difference between the two? Okay, what's missing in the one on my phone? And it might be a little hard to see. There's no email address, is there? So if you have an iPhone like me, and you look at your email, it will put the person's name or the organization or something like that, but it won't actually put the email address. And so the first thing I do is I circle those and I say, that feels a little dangerous right there to me. And that is the biggest thing, because so many people never open an email on their computers, they only open them on their phones. And so you'll get this email coming through, and this is on Microsoft Outlook, okay? Gmail works the exact same way. When it shows up on your phone, you don't see the actual email. You just see a label for the person's name. Understanding that. In fact, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to disconnect my computer from the screen, and I'm going to put my phone on the screen so you can see this in real time, okay? We're going to stop that because I want to show you, if you can do this simple little thing, you are going to save yourself a world of trouble, okay? If I can get my phone to find the Apple TV, which it's not doing right now. All right, come on. Nope. Okay, let's see here. This is where you start humming the Jeopardy tune. Okay. I promise it worked beforehand. All right, as you look at the fish, all right, we're not going to do this. We'll come back to it. Oh, and then I managed to turn off my computer from being able to be up there too. I am very technical in my abilities. You never know. There we are. All right, we're back. All right, so let's look back at this. All right, we had that, Pastor Luke Miller. If you take your phone, take your thumb or finger, whatever you use to tap on things, tap on Luke's name. And when you tap on his name in that email, what's going to come up is, let's see if I have a close-in one. It will say, pastor of our pastor office 818 at gmail.com. Sunrise does not have, well, we actually do, but none that you would ever see. We would never send out an email to anybody from a Gmail address that says pastor office 818. Okay, and I hate to say it, but this is the reason. Some of you are like, your pastors are impossible to find. I can't email you. I can't find your email addresses anywhere on the website because we took all of our email addresses off the website because this kept happening over and over and over. And then what the scammers were doing, some of you have received, how many of you have received one of these from Sunrise along the way? Because what they were doing is they were then going into our website and they were using little bots that would just go search the entire website. And if you were a leader of a small group and it happened to be attached to a calendar announcement, it would pull that email address and then it would send you an email from pastor of our office in saying, hey, I need you to get back to me discreetly, please. Please do this discreetly. And so that was one. Another one said the email address they created was called leadpastorofOurChurch at gmail.com. That was a good one. But again, if I go back to the actual emails, you don't see it if you're doing it on your phone. So you gotta watch, especially on your phones when you're doing this. This is another one that came in, and here's how they do it. Let me read this in the tone that I'm hearing it. Okay? I hope this email reaches you in good spirits. I'm currently engaged in planning a fundraiser for the orphanage today, and regrettably, I'm unable to make any phone calls at the moment. First off, I don't think Luke's going to be involved in a fundraiser for the orphanage. I don't know where to find an orphanage in the United States of America, if I can be honest with you. This is already right there. At the word orphanage, I stopped. Actually, I stopped a long time before this, but you should stop. There's an urgent matter that needs our attention, and for now, I can only correspond through email. Kindly respond to this message. I know Luke. I'm like, I don't think Luke would say that. Kindly respond to this message. I think he said, would you get back to me, please? Right? To confirm that you've received it, and I will promptly send you the necessary details. Thank you for your quick assistance. This other one, and then at the bottom it says, Luke Miller, Senior Pastor, copyright 2025 Sunrise Community Church. Okay? But multiple people have fallen prey to this. Okay? And they are not all over 60. All ages, okay? So it can happen to anyone. And so the best thing I can tell you is when you see that email come through on your phone, because most of you use your phone for email, right? Confess, right? Most of you use your phone first. When you see that, just click on the name and find out who it is. All right? Don't click on the link. If there's a link, don't click on the link. But just look at the name, and it will tell you. All right. So we said that, and we showed you those. All right. Phishing. Let's see. Let's find a good working definition for phishing. Phishing is the fraudulent practice of sending emails or other messages purporting to be from reputable companies or individuals in order to convince someone to reveal personal information and make financial transactions, okay? And this is one of the most common kinds of frauds that are out there, scams that are out there, because they just want to get a little bit of your information and a little bit more and a little bit more. They are fishing for your information. So I am going to do a little exercise called Let's Go Fishing, all right? And I am going to show you my personal email, all right? Here you go. This is my personal email. And if you can't read it up there, I tried to make it as big as possible, but I did the top section. This is from my personal Gmail account. The top section is on my computer, on my browser on my computer. I put my email up there. The one on the bottom is how I see it from my phone. Can you tell which one is the potential phishing email? There is one, if you can see it. 3? How many agree it's number 3? All right, it is indeed number 3. So when I look down a list, now most of the time I actually get this email. This particular one hits me probably 3 times a day. Most of the time it goes to my spam filter. And I never even see it, except for when I empty my spam folder. But one day back in November, and it was right about the time I was starting to make slides and prepare for this one came into my regular email box, and I thought, this is perfect. So we're going to dissect this a little bit. First off, it says payment/declined, ***. So star payment/declined, *** for the name, all right? So what emotion is that creating in us? Panic, right? The moment you see that, like, okay, November 10th, / 10:36, da, 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 da. Hi, Frank. I tried to call you earlier, so I wanted to follow. Huh? By the way, this scammer is not very good, just so you know. But it's going to get more fun. So now I'm going to show you the body of the email. And don't worry, you don't have to read it. But I divided the email into 2. So think like you're reading down, but from left to right, all right? So all the way down, you have the first half of it on the left, the second half on the right. It says it is, so I look there and I see these, and there's a lot on this page. And so we'll dissect it. Actually, let me read it first. It says, hello, we're unable to process your recent Cloud Plus subscription renewal due to an expired payment method. If no update is made, your stored data could be permanently erased. Now, what's interesting is, and let me tell you how emails work. Because I opened this email, when I open this email, it sends a little message back to the scammers that says, this email address opened this email. Okay? This happens all the time. You really can't control this. Okay? This is why you need to be cautious about how you handle the emails. Because I didn't let my junk filter just deal with it like it normally would, and I engaged on this email, like I said, I get it about 3 times a day, and now they're getting more sophisticated, and it's in red, and it doesn't say it could be deleted, it will be deleted. You know, they've started to change the language a little bit. But notice a couple of things. It's going to try to imitate something that seems remotely familiar. It's imitating cloud services. It says cloud. Well, okay, here's one of the first things I noticed is right there it says cloud services. We're unable to process your recent Cloud Plus subscription. Okay, so it's already contradicting itself. It says Cloud Plus in the text of the body of the email, but in that little graphic it says Cloud Services. So it doesn't say Cloud Plus anymore. And I don't have anything in anything called cloud. I do have things in iCloud. And so for a lot of people, they see that and they go, they're going to delete the pictures off my iPhone. And we think that, again, we're just going to get a little bit of panic. My data's at risk. And then, to avoid data deletion and maintain continuity, please update your billing details. And the moment you click that blue button, You have just invited the world to come onto your computer and plant a little bot that will then start to wreak havoc on your world. And will start to send, they could create a little tool that copies your keystrokes and records your keystrokes that you're typing in, that kind of thing. So we're going to give you a couple of rules here in a moment. All right. But I always like to go a little bit farther. So I said cloud, watch for that. I circled billing. But then I look down, look at the very bottom. It says create like this one, SMA, e-continent, similar text. Somebody at the scamming place just found some random template and copied it and then somehow butchered the letters and words that were on it and forgot to delete that off of there. And so, I see that and I go, this is a mess. But I also look at this. See, this is how I work. At the bottom, this is how my mind works. At the bottom it says you may unsubscribe at any time. Let me tell you a little secret. First off, if you click the unsubscribe, it's going to do the exact same thing as if you clicked the other one. Every single link that is on that email is going to the exact same spot. It is going to attack what you have. So it also says unsubscribe. If I'm going to get an email from a company that is getting ready to potentially close down my service, if I haven't paid a bill, let's say I didn't pay my SMUD bill, and SMUD sends me an email that says, you're 10 days late on your bill, and then they're going to send another automated, you're 30 days behind on your bill. I will not have the opportunity to unsubscribe from that email. They are not going to let me. It's just not an option. So, we're going to challenge you to think. The other part is it says, Design Studio Fabrics, 530 Craighead Street, Numb 100, Danville, Virginia, 24541. So do you know what Cliff Carey does? I look it up. I go onto Google. I look at Google Street View for 530 Craighead Street in Danville, Virginia, and you know what I find? I find this little store on the corner. That is not cloud services. iCloud Services is in a massive building in the Silicon Valley that is much prettier than that. I mean, although I wouldn't mind visiting Danville. It looks like a nice, charming little town. But that is not it. And actually what you can do is, I would challenge you, portions of those emails, if you're questioning, do I trust this email or not? Just open your Google browser and type in some of the verbiage right off of that email, and Google AI will tell you if it's a scam. If I Google literally this number, it will say this is related to a scam for cloud services. It just tells me, okay? So look for details. You get to be a detective when you do this, right? This is the fun part. Luke and I had some fun not too long ago being a detective on somebody in our congregation we were afraid was getting scammed on something. So we just started going to town, and it was, did you see this? Oh, no, did you see this? And we were doing that. It was fun. So that is phishing. Do you get the message? Yeah, read it. Don't thumb through really quickly and just click things. Stop. And email can always wait till later. I encourage you, if possible, wait till you're home on the computer and you can see it in bigger letters. See it where it's all right there. Okay, next one. And we're going to bring a special guest up in just a minute. It's going to be you. All right, so what do we say? When you receive an email, I like this. Think before you click. Does it look normal, or does something not seem right? All right? Is it asking you to click a link? All right? Now, what's funny is I've sent out so many emails from Sunrise, and I always say in the email, click the link to register for this event. So that's something we normally ask you to do. But we're asking you, think before you click. This is where you want to be sure. Is it asking you to click? Does it use odd phraseology? And is it it's just like, hey, this doesn't quite seem right. I think I asked the next one, is it written in American English? And so, with all due respect to my Canadian friends, but what's a good Canadian word spelling that we don't do in the U.S.? Favorite, F-A-V-O-U-R. Yeah. Would you do me a favor, F-A-V-O-U-R? I'm like, I don't know what a favor is, right? Okay, so is it using, and because a lot of the scammers, and this is a good way to see it, and a lot of the scammers are not in the United States. You're looking at Africa, you're looking at India, you're looking at Southeast Asia. That's where a lot of and it tends to be more Eastern Africa, India, Southeast Asia. A lot in the Philippines and, thank you. You knew exactly what I was talking about when I did that. Indonesia. And they will have tended to learn English from England or from English teachers from England. So you'll just, if you start to see English as opposed to American English, there's a decent chance it's probably going to be coming from some scammers. Or if Luke just didn't switch his converter over on his computer. He totally has a thing that will switch his Canadian English to US English. It's pretty cool. Right? Am I wrong? Yeah, totally right. Look for odd formatting, bad graphics, all right? So pay attention to those things in the emails. All right, now look at the email address we just talked about. Do you recognize the email address? Okay, if it doesn't make sense, it might not be from who you think it's from, okay? So do you recognize the email address? Check the from email address. Again, that's what we looked at in Luke's email right there. Is it from Luke or is it from some bizarre email address? Is that accurate to the organization or the company? So again, if you come to Sunrise, we have what we call our domain is sunrise.church. You're not going to get a Sunrise email address from Gmail or Yahoo or anything else, or iCloud. Someone sending you an email from Sunrise is going to come from sunrise.church. If Verizon is going to email, it's going to come from verizon.com. It's not going to come from Verizon or Verizon, like it's verizon.com. So look at it, and if it's a major company and it has anything except for thatcompany.com, stop and pay attention, okay? This is, I asked if it's from Gmail, iCloud, Yahoo, because what happened is any Joe Schmo can go onto Gmail and create an email account anonymously. For our Christmas, staff Christmas Secret Santa one year, I created an email address just for the person that I got as my person, and I started sending them emails from that email address. Later on, people told me that was kind of creepy, but I did. All right. So what's ironic is that first time I ever did that, Google sent me an email today saying they were getting ready to shut down that email address, which was 11 years ago that I created it. But yeah, Gmail, anybody can create an email on these and start to send stuff. And you can create what you want it to say in the person's name, even if that's not the email address. So you got to pay attention to that. That's a big one. And is there a misspelling in the address or the subject? Thank you for catching that. All right. How many misspellings are there? All right, good job. I love you all. You all get me. So we're gonna stop for a second and have a little bit of fun with some banking. Yes.
I don't know if you're gonna say it. You can put your cursor over the link and it will show the link.
That's right. Yeah, Carla, that's absolutely right. So she said you can hover a lot of times, depending on what software you use to check your email, but you can hover over a link and it will show. You can hover over an email address; it'll show what's hiding behind it. You can hover over a link, and down at the bottom of your screen, or right where you're hovering there with your mouse, it will show you what that link is actually leading to. Because I can, as a web page creator, I can make a clickable link say whatever I want it to say, and then behind it is what the actual location or address that it's going to is, and that could be completely different than what you're seeing. So it's good to look at that. Yeah, and if it's a bunch of gobbledygook, don't click it. So thank you, Carla. How many of you have bank accounts? All right, Kathleen Curry, come on up here. Kathleen is, I got to know Kathleen years ago. We've been Facebook friends for like 10 years. Kathleen's in the banking world. You get this one.
Hi. I'm not used to a microphone here. My name's Kathleen Curry. I've been in banking and finances for just over 30 years. I work inside a branch, working with clients and folks just like you. I probably see fraud a couple times a day, at least. First of all, everybody's susceptible to some fraud and will have get hit with some kind of fraud in your life if you haven't already done so. The best thing is trying to limit how much access so the fraud doesn't control your whole life and so forth. I don't know if you wanted to start with it.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
All right, so and let me explain. Kathleen's worked at a couple of different banks over the years, and two of the banks you've worked at are very large ones that's just have a big spread in who they reach. And I know sometimes it can feel intimidating when you're dealing with a large bank. Right? When, my mom, and some of the things that she has, how I said I became really good friends with the branch manager, that's true. The branch manager and I have each other's cell phones at my mom's bank. And I have such a good relationship with her that she said, now, Cliff, if your mom comes down to the bank, which she can't because we took her keys away, I'll edit that out. But to try to get new checks, we'll give you a call. Because this is what happened, is she had actually given the numbers off the bottom of one of her checks to a scammer on the phone one time. And that's how they got into her account and started sucking things out. But through that, it's because it's a medium-sized bank, it's a small town, they know everybody. When my mom walks in, Shirley, we're so glad to see you. It's that kind of thing. But if you are like me and you bank at Chase or Capital One and you're like, this is a giant bank based out of Delaware, because that's where all the banks base, and I don't feel like I have any hope of getting any help in dealing with a large institution. Can you change that myth for me?
Yes. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter how big the bank is. I do highly recommend each of you to go into your local branch, wherever that may be, and establish a relationship with a banker. Folks at the desk, and when I mean, just get to know them, get their contact information, so if something comes up, you can contact them, and you have their phone numbers and so forth, because yes, sometimes banks will call our clients, especially if we think something's going on in the branch, and that we think is there's a lot of red flags, or there may somebody might be impersonating them. But you should know who your local branches are, the people in it. Yes, there's sometimes some turnover and so forth. But then there's a lot of people in those banks that have been doing this for a very long time.
And they've been through 3 mergers and things like that,
Yeah.
and they're still there.
But I mean, in the computer age and all that, I mean, a lot of times we don't need to go into the bank, but should have a contact and get to know somebody in the bank and so forth. So if they contact you, or you have somebody to contact you, or you can walk in and say, hey, does this make sense, and that kind of thing. Because also there's some scammers out there that will tell you, you know, they'll ask them you to go send a wire to them, and you have to go into the bank to do a wire. But those scammers will say, you can't trust the banks.
Yep.
If they ask questions, you tell them, oh, you're getting money out for a landscaper, or my son needs pay for a medical thing or something like that. But, you know, you can trust the people inside the banks.
And you're trained. Like, you're trained to see these things.
Yeah, we're trained, but it's also, we learn by experiencing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we see the trends. There is so much out there, but you really need to trust the people in the bank, because they will ask you questions. The other day I was asking additional questions, and I told them, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. That's not, I think you might be a victim and stuff, and I'm trying to help you determine if that's the case. So just, the bank will ask you questions. It's not because they're being nosy, they need to know everything. I mean, that gets to be the impression, but no, we're actually trying to protect you, the bank, and, you know, anybody that's else is involved and so forth. But if you suspect things, trust the people in the bank. And I know it can, some people come in, they're embarrassed that they possibly gave out information,
Yeah.
that they got hooked in and stuff. These people are geniuses. These crooks are geniuses. I wish they would take their skills
Yeah.
and use it for good. But they prey on you. They prey on hope that you're hopeful that you just won some money, or you just inherited money from somebody you didn't know was a long-lost relative or something like that. You know, they prey on your hope, your vulnerability, your lack of tech savviness or what have you. But trust the bank. Don't be ashamed, but tell them everything, because the more we know, the better we can help you and stop it from getting worse and worse.
Yeah, that's so good. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So if I just feel like this charge that showed up in my account, there's a credit in my account that is not in a good way. Like, what should I do? Like, this charge shows up in my bank account. What do I do?
You need to contact the bank immediately. First of all, whether it's a credit or a debit, you don't know. You need to question it, because sometimes they'll put a deposit in and then they'll go back in and take it out. Because why are you going to question a deposit? You do. They have your account information. They're going to use it. They're testing it. So you want to contact the bank. You want to know, and that's a lot with establishing your relationship with the bank and so forth, is knowing the contact information that you need to pick up and call when there is a problem. You can't just, go on Google on the internet to find a phone number necessarily, because it may be the wrong one. But the best thing you can do is to go into the bank and talk to a person.
Yeah.
But if it's in the middle of the night, you may want to contact the 800 number for whatever bank you have.
And I've gotten to the point, like I look into my mom's bank account every single day. And so I was able to, because I do that, I was able to get a transaction while it was pending. It hadn't cleared yet. I called the branch manager, and she said, because it hasn't cleared yet, we're able to stop it. And they were able to get that from going through. And that was because I was on top of it. Am I telling you should be checking your account every day? Maybe.
You might want to think of, on top of that, though, if you do not have alerts or notifications set up
This is so good.
through your online banking,
Yeah.
you want to have them set up. I know sometimes they can get annoying, and you get to the point you start ignoring them if there's too many, but you can limit on which ones you want to receive. And when the bank contacts you questioning a transaction that's pending, like from your debit card or your credit card or what have you, there's a red flag. Maybe you have done it, maybe you that transaction from Amazon or DoorDash or whatever, but maybe not.
Remind me to say something.
Do not ignore the message. Because if you ignore the message, because they'll say yes or no, and did you do this transaction? It'll be very specific.
Yeah.
If you say yes, then they'll probably try to allow that transaction to go through. The bank will try to stop that transaction if you don't respond, and or of course if you say no, and then they'll shut the card down. But you don't want to ignore those. And it could be something that maybe like a $2 transaction, and you go, contact the bank.
And that the two, I love that you said that, Kathleen, because that $2 transaction is just a test. They're testing you. They are testing you to see if you paid attention. You let the $2 transaction go through, the next one's going to be $200. So that's how it works. So yeah, I can't overemphasize that.
Yeah.
Same with your credit card. Exact same. Yeah.
Set up the notifications, even if it's notifications for any transaction over a certain amount or whatever. But you want to have it notifications from your bank to go to your email and your cell phone,
Yeah.
because you don't always check your emails,
I get a text for every single transaction that happens in my mom's accounts, whether it's credit card, whether it's in the checking account, and I have the same thing on all of our cards. So it's annoying. It's annoying, but it could save you. And it was actually, she got fraud on Discover about a month ago, and we were able to shut her account down before that charge had even gone through. So, and you can block accounts. So with your credit card, most credit cards, you can actually log on an app on your phone and be able to push the little block button, and your account is shut down. Carla.
I'm asking this for my mom, who I'm going to send this video to.
Yeah.
What do you say about people of a certain age who don't like to do any online banking?
People of a certain age, I'm reporting this or repeating this for the video. So what do you do, Kathleen? People of a certain age that they're just, online banking isn't their thing. It's like these computers, these newfangled things are
it's a good
troublesome.
question. I mean, the main thing is you need to know your banking. You need to know, at least, you register, you keep track of what you do and what you don't do, and actually look at your statements each month and match it up and make sure you have a certain amount of time to report transactions. But with that said, I highly encourage to be anybody, I don't care what your age is, to be able to, if you can, look at the transactions on your account. Or you can always call your 800 number and it'll list the last 5 transactions and stuff, and just do that every once in a while. The banks are pretty good at, working with clients and showing how to do the online banking, just to view the transactions and stuff. But I recommend it,
Yeah.
but I understand that, my dad doesn't use online banking, but he's very methodical about everything he does. He knows exactly what he does. He's like clockwork and stuff. And, he spots things when they occur just because he's keeping track of it. So
let me add to that. If you are the kind of person you're saying, I don't want anything to do with all this online stuff, more than likely, your information is online. Okay? And so may I encourage/exhort you, if you have one of your grown children that you trust, emphasize trust, give them access to your account. And you can have different levels of access set up so that they're not sucking all your money out of your account. Again, you got to trust them. But if they're the kind of person that's willing to look online and check those things out, it's another set of eyes that you have. And I think, I don't have any data on this, but I think there are a number of us that as we get older, we continue thinking that we can operate on the same level that we used to operate on. And the world is getting more and more sophisticated. And to have that trusted person in your life that is sophisticated and like where they can see those things and spot them is a gift. So again, I know sometimes we have delicate relationships with our children, and certain children are like, I will never give that child access to it. Or you could be like me and be the favorite and mom trusts you. So, okay, yes. Writing who does that? No. Yes. No, I'm sorry. That was a bad joke. I apologize.
That's a good question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. She asked, what do we think about writing checks, using checks to pay bills and stuff? So, good question, because when you look at a check, your checks, what's on it? Got the bank name, the routing number, the account number, the customer's name.
Probably your address.
Their address, hopefully not license and phone number, which some folks have on
Back
their
in the day,
checks.
we used to do that, yes.
Say, you put a bill out at your mailbox to be picked up. Somebody steals mail. They now know what your signature looks like.
And they have your bank account number and your routing number.
It's easy to create checks online when they know your account number, routing number, and stuff. And it doesn't matter if they use your name. They'll use some other person's name because they may have somebody else's driver's license, because they intermingle people's identities that they've stolen to make it harder to catch and so forth. So I'm not a big fan of checks. However, nowadays, whether it's you're using your debit card or you're using the account number online, there's ways to get your information. The whole thing you want to do is really limit the information you provide out there. Each time you pay a bill, there's different types of online banking when you're paying or bill payments online. It's not all the same. So for example, if you go to like SMUD website, you go to pay your bill on SMUD website. In order for you to pay the bill, what information are you giving them? You're giving the routing number, the account number, your name, your information and stuff. if you're doing that for all your bills, how many times are you giving out your information? A lot. If you're going to pay bills online, it is better to do it through the bank's website, and I'll tell you why. Because yes, it's a little bit of work. You have to get the information. Take a bill, get your information from SMUD or whatever, and you're entering the information, creating kind of like a phone book of your bills online and stuff, and then you go in and pay it when you're doing it. But what happens is, oh, sorry. So when you're paying bills through the bill payment service online, you are collecting information from the companies you're trying to pay, and you're putting it in the website. But when you're sending them the bill, it does not have your bank account information anywhere when that money is being sent to PG&E, SMUD, or whatever. Because what happens is 9 out of 10 times, most of your bills are going to be sent electronically, and it's sent in a electronic,
Like a bundle.
bulk bundle, goes to their off of the bank's corporate or their vendor's information. It does not have your information on there, your bank account information. Yes, it'll have your name on it so they know who to credit the account for SMUD or PG&E, and then your account number with SMUD or PG&E. So, and same thing if a check is drafted, if it has to be, like, your pool guy might not be set up for electronic transaction like a bill pay thing. So they may have to send a check, but it's essentially a bank check, like a cashier's check coming off the bank. It does not have your bank account information. So just doing that alone will limit some of your information getting out there. And, all these companies, your Capital One, your SMUD, your PG&E, Kaiser, whatever the case may be, they get hacked, And so if your information is saved on those websites, they now have that information. Go ahead.
We're going to need to keep moving.
Yeah, I know.
And we're going to have a lot of questions here as well. Can I tell you a really cool bonus about paying your bills using bill pay through your bank? If you're paying your pool person, and normally you would mail them a check and stick a stamp on that check, guess what? The bank is paying for the stamp. And you just saved yourself however many cents a stamp is today, right? So there's a win. That's a W. I just saved you some money. All right, we need to keep moving here, Kathleen, but we're going to have more time for Q&A here at the end if we keep going, okay? So thank you very much, Kathleen. Appreciate you. And so Kathleen's the one that provided us with these two papers that you have. If you did not get one, again, those are on our website at sunrise.church/fraud, and you can get these. But these are very good do's and don'ts of fraud prevention, and actually just do's. No, there are don'ts on here too. And identity theft checklist. Anyone here on Social Security? A couple of you. Emily, come on up. This is Emily Moxley, who is homegrown here from Sunrise. And Emily's made it big. She's over at SSA in Roseville. And we're going to briefly go through just a couple of things about the Social Security world. Thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Hi.
Hold the mic up here.
Hi.
All right, excellent. And because they'll let you know if you don't.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Emily, if we have to deal with Social Security, right? To me, it seems like this is impossible. I don't know what to do. How do I deal with Social Security? What are you? Just give a little. Well, actually, let's talk in the fraud. What kind of Social Security fraud is out there?
So a lot of what I see is that your Social Security number is on the dark web. I can guarantee you it is not. Very, very rarely it is. You will get notifications that your Social Security number is on the dark web.
I
That's
got
a
one
fish-
like
That's a
2 days
phishing
ago.
thing to
Well,
get
I got
you-
one from my fraud prevention service.
Yeah,
It said that my social security number was compromised
yeah.
in the Kaiser thing.
Oh, well, yes, but it's not on the dark web.
Oh, okay.
So that's people who are paying for your social security number. That's not a thing because when you click on that, you have to put in your social to get a new one. You're not going to get a new one. And that's one of the fraud things is them saying that your social security number is on the dark web. 99.9% of the time, it is not. Don't.
And what you're talking about though is like a phishing kind of
Yes,
email. Yeah.
yes.
So this is let's clarify this because I have through Experian, they watch my credit, they do all that, and I have a monitoring service that shows when my information has been found on the dark web. That Experian's they're not trying to fraud me
Yeah.
at all. But a lot of times they're going to try to pose as SSA, as Social Security, and get you again to click a link,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And then also fraud is getting bank accounts changed where your social security check gets put into every month. When that bank account changes fraudulently, that's what we see a lot of the times. Our policy just changed about 3 months ago to stop this because we were seeing it so often. So if you guys need to change your direct deposit with Social Security, you have to physically go into the office. You cannot do it over the phone at all, and you have to have a valid form of ID. If you do not have a valid form of ID, we cannot change your direct deposit. Even though we see you face to face, I need an ID with you.
But now, Emily, my mom can't get into the Social Security office, so I'm power of attorney for her, so I come in and present my power of attorney, right?
So we unfortunately don't recognize power of attorney at all. Does not help in our office. It is very easy to get power of attorney. And I don't know if any of you know what was her name? Puentes. She lived in the Sacramento region. If you're curious, look it up. That's why we don't recognize power of attorney. Dorothy Puente. Yep. Blame her.
Dorothy Fuentes, it's all her fault.
And so we get that all the time of kids coming in for their parents who have power of attorney saying, my mom or dad can't come in. I have power of attorney. That's great. Love that for you. We don't recognize it. However, we have our own version, which is called a representative payee. It is a lot more difficult to get because we need legal or medical evidence of why your parent or whomever cannot handle their own benefits. Medical or legal. It just can't be they're old. Obviously, if they are old, you can probably get on the medical or legal side of that easily.
But you have to go through the steps.
Yeah, you have to go through the steps, and we need legal or medical documentation. And you have to have an ID as well.
Yeah. Thank you. So Emily provided for us, and I only have 3 copies. But if you're like in the position that I'm in, and you have power of attorney over somebody that you're taking care of, and you need to deal with their various things, they have a pamphlet, I guess you could say, but the PDF form of this is on that website, on the sunrise.church/fraud, and so you can download this onto your phone or onto your computer, and it has all the information of what you need to do to become a representative payee for a parent or a person that you're taking care of that way.
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah, one more thing.
Okay.
I do not want to say we will never call you. We will rarely call you. There are times I do have to make a phone call to a person, and I always tell people to err on the side of caution. If you do not believe you are speaking with me at the Roseville Social Security office, my name's Emily. I'm the only Emily here. Hang up and call back with whatever number you find at the Roseville Social Security office, because I'm not going to give you the phone number because I want you to err on the side of caution. I want you to find the number and give us a call and say, hey, I think think Emily just called me at this office. Why is she calling me? Why are you guys calling me? And we can go from there. I always tell people to err on the side of caution, and so do everybody in our agency. Because there are so many scams that we see on an everyday basis, we rather you give us a call and we find you eventually than you just giving us all of your information. Because when I call somebody, I have to verify who they are. Therefore, I am asking your full name, your social security number, your mother's maiden name, your telephone number, your address on file, and what city and state you were born in. Obviously, if you're not sure you're talking to the Social Security office, hang up and call them. With that, also Medicare. We deal with Medicare. We deal with the Part A and Part B side of Medicare. Medicare will not call you either. If Medicare is calling you, it's us calling you.
They're going to send you a letter.
Yeah, we
That's what they
we do
do.
snail mail still.
They send you a letter. It takes a month.
Yeah.
You write them a letter back. It takes a month. You
Yeah.
say, they'll send you another one back. It takes a month or 3 years. That's how the government works, okay? Notice what I just threw up on the screen here. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. I just put this up on the screen is I did a quick Google. Emily from the Roseville Social Security office called me, and she very honestly said, Google us, find it. And so I did this. Now, here's something, just a little trick of the trade. If you call that 800 number that Google shows you, you're going to be in their master 800 system, okay?
Wait, hold on.
Talk to me.
That sometimes is faster than calling our
What?
agency now because
God
I
bless the
answer those
USA.
800 numbers now.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Fantastic. All right.
So there's actually a lot more people answering those 800 number
All right.
calls than your local office, because in my office specifically, we have 5 people answering that 800 number on a daily basis, and that's just one office out of,
Look at all the people that have been texting me.
you got so many.
It's out of control.
Then calling
Myron.
your Roseville office that only has one person answering those phones. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me tell you what, technology can sometimes, and even AI can be your friend when it comes to some of these kinds of things. And something like this, I just get on there immediately. And this is like with someone says, I'm calling you from SMUD, we're rolling the trucks, we're gonna turn off your power. Go online to SMUD's website and find their phone number and call them back. Don't give the number that the scammer gives you to call back. That's what happened to us here, is they said, you can call us back at this number. Well, they just gave us their number to call back. But we wisely went on to, we actually got a copy of our bill and called the number on the bill. They said, no, they're not. There's nothing going on there. So, Emily, thank you very much.
of course.
You are a great friend. We appreciate you. All right. Repeat after me. Okay? All right. Hold on. Don't repeat this. When you get a call, now, repeat after me. You don't have to answer. When you get a call, do you have to answer when your phone rings? No. Even if you're lonely? No. Even if you want to mess with them? One of my favorite things ever is no, I won't tell that story. It'll take too much time. Let me tell you why you shouldn't answer, and let me tell you why you shouldn't mess with them. Because the way AI works today, and this has happened to people in this room, they record your voice. And then AI will then create your voice to say other things. Okay, this happened with a friend of mine who they stole his Facebook account. And then they took his voice, because he's actually a voice actor, and he had some of his various things that he had done were on his Facebook page, and they replicated his voice to become a salesman for cryptocurrency. And thousands of dollars were scammed from his friends while he was trying to break back into his Facebook account. Okay, so his voice was on the internet. They stole his voice. Your voice having fun with a scammer could potentially, I'm not saying it will, because I play with them too. Sometimes I just have to. And my kids will be listening and they're like, Dad, let us do it next time. Seriously, I'm not joking. And we've all had fun with them. But the more you engage with them, the more chances there are of something getting compromised that way. They also have discovered that they have a live person. And so they'll know that this is a number that will engage with them. And so they keep trying this discover fraud that keeps happening with my mom. They keep calling her back over and over and over. And sometimes she engages with them. And the other day she tried to go give them her Discover card number. But I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how I stopped that. All right. You don't have to answer, do you? Okay. The rest of the thing, when you get a call, look at the number that's popping up on your screen. Is it a number that you recognize? Is it a number you don't recognize? If it's somebody close to you that you love, their number should be in your phone, in your cell phone. All right? So when it's not a number that you recognize, feel free not to answer that. They can leave a voicemail. As many of you know, Sunrise got a new phone system in the last 6 months. And that meant we got new phone numbers. And if I call you from my office phone, it's going to pop up this number. And some of your phones are going to say, it's a scammer. They're not going to recognize that number. And so somebody the other day, this very astute person, did not answer it. In fact, I called, and within 2 rings, they sent it to voicemail. And so I said, hey, this is Cliff Carey, blah, blah, blah. He called me back a minute later. Okay, that's what you can do. But don't engage with it. Let it go to voicemail. If you have the ability in your cell service to block it, block the number. Some of you, certain cell services will allow you will actually have some really robust software built into your service that will keep the numbers from ever even ringing in the first place. And of course, they'll make you pay extra for that, but it's kind of worth it at a certain point. The hard part is sometimes fewer and fewer people call us, and there's this part of us, we joked about it, but there's this part of us that wants to talk to somebody, even if it's somebody that's kind of out to get us. And I don't know why we do it, but so pay attention to the call coming in. Number one, you don't have to answer it. Look and see if you recognize it, what's on the caller ID. Listen for the delay, right? How many of you know what I'm talking about with that delay? You say hello, and then it just sits there blank. Well, during the blank time is when you hang up, okay? That's when you don't engage with that call. And if they come on, you start talking to them. Even your companies that you engage with are not going to call you that way. They're going to be on a live call. And when you say hello, they're going to be there if it's something that they really need to talk to you about. If they're robo-dialing you, there's going to be a delay. So listen for the delay, listen for the foreign accent, and I say that with caution there, because there are legit, if I call my bank Capital One, they have overseas call centers and things like that. So sometimes I'll be talking to someone overseas, but almost every scammer that calls my mom is calling from overseas. So listen for those things. So you just start to think in a safety, put a safety net around you. Think about it this, the government is, and I love that Emily said this, they're rarely, if ever, going to call you. Hardly any company that is legitimate is ever going to call you. They're going to send emails. They're going to send snail mail. If you've done something wrong, they are going to send you something in the mail. Okay? You're going to get alerts that said that you missed your payment. Your utilities will not be turned off without written notice. Okay? Your cell service is not going to get turned off without written notice. And then if it seems to be too good to true, this is too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So, and what that is, we'll just briefly mention, is there are sweepstakes scams out there. and they'll call you, or they'll even send you a letter that says you won the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. Congratulations, you got $10 million. And all you have to do is pay the taxes ahead of time, and then we'll release the money to you. Lori.
I don't know if this would be helpful for anybody.
Yeah.
Once you say hello, that triggers the robocall to go on.
Yeah.
So you can't answer the way I do. I say, this is Lori. I don't say hello. Nothing on the other side because it doesn't get triggered and you just hang up.
Interesting. I like that. So what Lori said, for those of you watching online, is when the robocall comes through, often that word hello will trigger the robocall to kick it over to a person to talk to you. And so she says, instead, she says something else, that it doesn't trigger the robocall to click over to the person. This is Lori. Now, I don't want to even give him my name, but that's another story. So yeah, watch out. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Yes. Oh, I thought someone said my name. Oh, okay. Oh, this is Cliff. Yeah, no. Now, I'm one of those people, I actually go by my middle name and not my first name. And so I get all the calls for my first name, and I just I don't want to talk to you. All right. And I'm going to try to speed this up as we start to land the plane here. Social media. This is, actually, let's start with Facebook. How many of you have Facebook? How many teenagers have Facebook? Anybody know? Little to none. It is no longer the thing of the youth. It is populated by the vast majority of people that are on Facebook are between 60 and 90 years old, okay? That is a true statistic, and I say vast majority of people that are actively on Facebook. So, in social media, in the scam world, you got AI, you got impersonation, like I told you about my friend whose account got taken over. Somehow, they use software that will attack someone's account and just start to put passwords over and over and over until they get the right password in there. And it's just doing it out in the background. It's not somebody typing it in. It's a bot that they created that will just start to feed different passwords, and eventually they get one that works, and they got into his account. But this one, I want to hit romance scams here because that one is so subtle that somebody will send you a direct message, and you may have allowed them to become your friend. Because you might be like a lot of people, like we just don't pay attention to our friend requests that come through, or we don't have our privacy settings set in such a way that prevent these outside people from coming in and seeing us. And so there will be, usually it's a direct message that comes through, or this person maybe saw you commenting on some story that was there on Facebook, and they started interacting with you in some comments or arguing with you politically. Probably not going to be a romance scam. But they started doing this kind of interaction, and then they start sending the direct messages, and they will send you pictures as well along the way. And then you start to get a relationship because they'll share some personal information and some things that they're going through, and you share some things back. I cannot overemphasize how susceptible all of us are to this thing, because when people start sharing with each other anonymously, there's this intimacy that starts to be created. And sometimes we'll share something with somebody that's on the other end of the internet that we would never tell the person that's sitting next to us in this room right now. That's scary, but we do that. It's a human nature thing, and I don't understand it, but I think the anonymity sometimes causes us to be more open about things. And we've starting to develop an intimate relationship back and forth, and then eventually it will turn into somebody asking for money for something or other. And so I can't overemphasize this one enough. Be so cautious about your information. And so there's one other one I want to check with here, and then I'm going to give you the social media checkup. We don't have any, I don't think we have any kids in the room tonight, do we, really? Are you okay with me going here? Okay. So the bottom right one here, sextortion. I need to explain this to you because tragic circumstances are coming out of this one. It's happening on Instagram. It's happening on with TikTok and other things. But there was a case recently on Instagram where a young person, a middle school boy, was trading direct messages back and forth with somebody that they had met on Instagram that had a profile that showed that they were female. He was a male and looked normal, and started interacting with him and convinced him to send her naked pictures of himself. Okay? 13-year-old boy. And it was not a young girl at the other end. It was a creepy scammer at the other end. And then what that creepy scammer proceeded to do was to contact him back and say, I have these pictures of you, and if you don't pay me this amount of money, I'm going to share them on the internet, or I'm going to show your parents, or I'm going to, direct message all your friends so that they see this. And this boy, 13-year-old boy, was so overwhelmed with all of it that he took his own life. And this has happened multiple times in the last year. This is a very real thing that is happening. And so they're using social media to extort these young people, and they feel alone, they feel hopeless. And so as grandparents, as parents, as us as pastors and people that have young people in our lives, I sat down with my boys and I just had a very clear conversation about this, and in helping them understand, like, first off, I would never, obviously, like, you never should do this. But if you do, I need you to know that your parent is safe, and that this is the place that you need to come and talk about it, because it's way better to deal with the implications when it's right here than when it's on the outside. And we could have brought in law enforcement, we could have, all that. And so it's a very real thing, and it is why we have just a strong policy in our own family about our kids not being in social media until they're like almost adults. And we're very glad, and they've thanked us for that exact thing. So watch out for that. Watch out for all the various things there. You see them there. But I'd encourage you, do a social media checkup. And if you don't know how to do this, get a younger person in your life that does. And have them go through your Facebook settings or whatever social media you're using and have them. I would not have a public account, okay? If your account is open to the public for anyone that's on Facebook to see, you're opening yourself up for trouble. And unless you're like, the only people that do this are celebrities and people that have a radio show, or, like the Backshed Bible Study, something like that. No, I do not have a public account. So make sure your account is private. And there is an ability within your profile to be sure that only your friends can see pictures, only your friends can see your posts, so that your friends don't see them and things like that. Sometimes there's an opportunity to make a post public if it's for the good of the public, and you can do those kinds of things. But really limit who can see your pictures, who can comment on your posts, that kind of thing. Do everything you can to just lock that account down and keep it just with your real friends. Yeah.
One thing, whether it's social media or on telephone, ladies, I've been widowed 5 years. I still get calls.
Still get.
Bill there, Williams there. And I'll go, no, he's unavailable. Can I take a message?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, no, I'm sorry. He's
Right.
25 years.
And I love that she said that. She's talked about being widowed for 5 years, and that calls still come in for him. And rather than giving out that information about him, she'll just say, yeah, she'll say, no, he's not available. So things like that where you're just, don't give out information. It's none of their business. And my mom will talk so much. She's like, well, I'm 95 and I live alone and it's great. Like, don't do that. Yeah. Examine follow or friend requests. Look at those requests that come through and ask yourself, okay, this is a big one. Are you already friends with this person? Okay? Did Luke Miller just send me a friend request? And I'll look at his friend request, and I look at his name on that, and I click it, and it says, Luke has 4 friends. But it's his picture. It's his picture, so it's Luke. This is the lie of social media. Because any schmo can go on to Facebook and search up people and find their pictures, and then they'll just use a screenshot, doctor up that picture a little bit, use a screenshot, and then again, if your account is open, they're able to get there and start copying all your pictures. And then they'll populate a Facebook page that the world is supposed to think is you. And then they'll send friend requests out to everybody that was your friend already. And you'll sit there and go, well, yeah, I didn't know Luke and I weren't friends on Facebook. Oh, I better accept it. I know Luke, and there's that picture of Luke and Sarah and the boys. Like, this is awesome. Okay, I'm Luke's friend now. And this is one of the most common scams out there on Facebook, okay? So check to be sure. Are you friends already? Then don't accept that friend request, because the moment you do, that person's going to turn around and send you a direct message. And they're going to say, hey, can you talk? And so I engaged with one of these because I accidentally did it one time. And my mind just suddenly went, this doesn't seem right. And I said, hey, how do we know each other? Oh, you know. I go, no, I don't remember how I know you. And we did this back and forth, and then finally they gave up. But at a certain point, they're going to start asking you to go buy them gift cards. They're going to try to get some money out of you in some way or another, okay? These are fake accounts made by people that are not that person. So check, and if you get a friend request from someone, be sure you're not already friends. And if they don't have very many followers, or you don't have very many common friends, it's probably a fake account, okay? How well do you know the person? Do you have friends? Look at who your friends in common are. And sometimes I'm like, I see my friend that they fell for the scam. They shouldn't have let that person friend them. So look at those things. Pay attention to the little details. All right, here we go. Now we're heading towards home. If you think you have been scammed, stop, block the number, block the account online that's coming after you, trying to connect with you. Contact your bank or your credit card. Change your password. Please don't make your password. And then tape it to your computer, or even worse, the back of your phone. There are some great apps out there for passwords. There's some great things that can create very complicated passwords. I'm not going to get into those today, but there is, unfortunately, we've got to teach ourselves how to use better passwords that are a little more complex and harder for the programs that are out there to find and figure out those passwords, okay? And I have a couple of tips and tricks, but I'm not going to say those right now because this is being recorded. Document, okay? So go back and look at your phone. Maybe take a screenshot of the time and the call came in and how long the call was, who it was from, the number, that kind of thing. Write it down, because you're going to forget all the details later. But if you feel like you've been scammed, so record that information, and then report it. When Citrus Heights Police found out we were going to be doing this, they threatened to actually send an officer here. No, that's a joke. But they actually wanted to send an officer here. He wasn't able to make it. But to start to share, like in Citrus Heights, they've dealt with recently somebody that scammed out of like $600,000 in an investment fraud locally, okay? They're seeing it all the time. And so in this case, if you know you've been scammed, report it to the police. Start with your local law enforcement, okay? I live in Sacramento County. I live in Fair Oaks. Fair Oaks does not have law enforcement. It's Sacramento County. So Sac Sheriff is the one I would call to start this process. And then I would probably call the Federal Trade Commission or report it, the FBI, Attorney General's office, that kind of thing. Don't be afraid to report these things. You know, a lot of you know I learned how to fly years ago, and one of the joys of my life was learning how to fly. But one time I flew into a cloud, and I did not have my instrument rating, right? And one of the things that they train you to do when you fly into a cloud and you don't have an instrument rating and you're kind of in a mess is they train you to confess, to call ATC and tell them, I'm in a cloud, I'm lost, I need help, right? Those aren't the words I would use as a pilot, but that's essentially what I would do. Don't be afraid to confess. I can't overemphasize this because it feels embarrassing. It feels like you've done something really wrong. You feel shame. You feel all these things that happen, or maybe you've given up a large sum of money already, and you're in really deep. Your friends and people close to you want to help. They want to be there. They want to take care of you. Your bank wants to help. The law enforcement wants to help, but they can't if you're not going to own up to it. So please be willing to own up to it. It is such a hard thing to do. And maybe you're in a spot, come talk to me. And, you know, maybe you need to talk to a pastor first, and we'll talk to you about it and see if we can help walk you through the process. But there really is no shame in this. I mean, this is something that is happening left and right. And if it wasn't happening all the time, people wouldn't keep doing it. They wouldn't keep coming after us if other people weren't falling to it. So you're not alone. You're not the only one. And I feel like this is a message that I should give to teenagers, but I need to give it to adults. Is if you fall prey to something like this, let somebody else come alongside you and help you out here. And if you're in that spot where somebody close by to you is falling prey to that, I'd really encourage you, if they're not responding to it, maybe get somebody in their family that would be a part of it. The law enforcement is typically going to listen to a family member a lot sooner than they listen to just a random person that calls them. But if a family member can call in and talk to the FBI, I have friends one of my best friends, his parents fell prey to about a $200,000 or $300,000 scam back in the days of the email that would, say, I've got this sum of money and I need to send it to somebody through you and all of that. And 3-4 years into it, the FBI had to get involved. Boy, if they would have made that call early on. So don't be afraid to make that call. Don't be afraid to confess to somebody. And then Equifax, Experian, TransUnion have some great opportunities to be able to get on with them and freeze your credit so that nobody can open up a new credit card. Nobody can do a home loan in your name or using your Social Security number or anything like that. So that's if you think you've been scammed. Finally, keep your information secure, and I'll just kind of put both of these up really quickly here. Don't go doing your financials at Starbucks. Don't, take your computer over to Starbucks and sit down and join the public Wi-Fi and start paying all your bills. All right? And never, ever sit in an airport and go to turn on your Wi-Fi and it says free public Wi-Fi. Do not connect to that. All right? Did you hear me? Literally everywhere. I'm even on airplanes and I'll go to connect to the Southwest Wi-Fi and somebody on there has free public Wi-Fi. Guess what you're connecting to when you connect to free public Wi-Fi? You're connecting to somebody else's computer. And suddenly they have become an intermediary that can have your information. So if you go to Starbucks and for some reason you forgot to pay your SMUD bill, only if you do this, be sure you have a VPN, okay? There are some great VPN out there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't go to Starbucks and pay your bills, okay? Let's just start with that. But if you have to work on a public Wi-Fi for some reason, at the coffee shop, in the airport, wherever it is, use a VPN. It's called a virtual private network. And what a VPN is it's a tunnel on the internet. And it takes you through this network that you're on at the coffee shop or at the restaurant or at the hotel. It's a tunnel that goes past that network and out to the internet where you need to do your work, so that the other people that are connected to that network and the networks that are along the way don't have access to what you're doing. It's a great service to be able to use. I pay to have a VPN on my computer and all my devices, so that if I have to work off-site anywhere on some open Wi-Fi, that it's not going to be compromised that way. So VPNs are excellent. If you don't have to connect to Wi-Fi, just don't. Your cellular service internet is much more secure than any of the Wi-Fi's at any of the places you would go. So don't make financial transactions. Watch out, airports, hospitals, Disneyland, so on. Two-factor authentication. It is, yes?
Are you familiar with free VPNs? Are they safe?
Yeah, free VPNs. I have used some before. I trust one that I pay for. I use ExpressVPN. I've used NordVPN before. They tend to start to get a little more expensive the longer you have them. So I would probably, I'm going to show you a website here in a second that you can check out that is helpful for things like this. So I would do your research into a free VPN. I would not just take it at face value. I would Google it first, and I would literally say, is such and such VPN safe? And see what AI has to tell you from that. But that's where you can get people's reviews or people saying, stay away from this one, or this one is, because there are a number of free ones out there, and I've used them before really well. So if you're lost in the VPN world, we can talk later, okay? Two-factor authentication. It is the most annoying thing ever, and yet it is going to keep your information much more safe. And so for instance, I have a number of websites. When I go to log into that website, it will require me to do one of two things. It will require me to enter a code that it texts to me. Anyone experience that? Okay, right? Or it will require me to use something called an authenticator app. And so Microsoft has a great authenticator app. Google has a great authenticator app. And it takes a little bit of setup. So you might want to, again, have that trusty, college student or young adult that knows how to do these things, that might want to work with you on this. But set you up with an authenticator app. And then you'll enter in a 6-digit code. And those codes change every 30 seconds. And so it keeps you... It's the kind of thing, it's random codes that will pop up on this app, and you enter those into the website as you log into that website. And it keeps your information much more safe. So two-factor authentication is what that's called. When you're finished on a website that you have logged into, log out of that website and then close the browser. Okay, that's really important. Log out and close the browser. What I mean by that is on my browser right here, on this page, I'm not going to log out, but I don't want this page up, so I'm just going to close that page. It's gone now. I want to keep that one up. But I might be, on this page, I might open it up and log into my bank account. And when I'm done on my bank account, I need to log out and then close that X. And then when I'm done, and ladies, you're going to struggle with this. You should see my wife's computer. Because she has 16 of these open. All at once. You know that men are like waffles and women are spaghetti? Have you heard that one where you ladies, you have everything open all at once, and you're thinking about this, that, or the other. I'm in a box, right? You've got all these. She has 16 different things open at once. Close all of those things before you shut it off. okay? Close them all, then shut down, all right? This is going to keep you safe. And then for online, let's see, did I miss this? Yeah. There we go. For online transactions, Kathleen told me this one. She has a separate bank account with its own debit card that she uses for Amazon and her different online transactions. And that bank account doesn't have her life savings in it, right? It has enough money to pay for this month's transactions. And if that card gets stolen or fraud or whatever, or that account information gets out, the maximum they can get is what's in that account. And so it's a little less. That was great advice too. So I appreciated that. I use a separate email address for online transactions. Because those email addresses are going to get sold out on the dark web for all kinds of stuff. And so it's good to have kind of a junk email address that you're just using for online transactions that's not going to be for important things. I keep my important things with one email address. My junk things, they get another email address. And you can just go onto Gmail to create one of those. So finally, the recap. Thank you. What do you do if the phone rings? All right. What if you get an email? Don't click. What is social media? Don't answer, don't click, don't reply. You don't have to. And then finally, you can see on your handout, I gave you the 3 credit bureaus. Oops, sorry. I'm going back. The 3 credit bureaus are, no, thank you. And with their phone numbers, I would encourage you every year, get a copy of your credit report. Go to annualcreditreport.com. It is a free, every year you are entitled to a free credit report from all 3 bureaus. And so again, that's annualcreditreport.com. I did not give you that information, but it is, it's a good one. It's on the blue one. Thank you. And these I just pulled up a few of our investment companies that people use, and they all have websites for how to keep information secure. They have great resources that way, so that's there. And then other resources, FTC, the FBI, Social Security. And then this one here at the bottom, this is just one of those things you keep in your back pocket. It's called Trustpilot. And Trustpilot is, I'd give it a B. In effectiveness, because the only thing I don't like about Trustpilot is it does advertising. And so companies that are advertising on Trustpilot may have a reason to give those companies a little more credibility. But what Trustpilot does is, I use this for my son. He wanted to buy his own cell phone because his parents wouldn't buy him one. Best parenting move ever, but most of the time I fall, anyway. But he found a good used iPhone on this website, and I had never seen this website store before. And I thought, ooh, I don't know. I don't know if you should buy this phone off of this website. I went to Trustpilot, plugged the website in there, and you get real reviews that are from other people that have used that website before and can say, oh no, this store is legitimate, like here's how soon the phone came in and that kind of thing. So it's a good tool. At the same time, I'm just slightly cautious about it. You were going to say something.
Yes, if you check your credit too often, doesn't it reduce your credit?
Well, yeah, if you check your credit too often, yes, there could be a don't constantly check it. Unless you have a monitoring service, that's not going to ding your credit if you have a monitoring service, yeah.
So if you're contacting, there's a difference between credit inquiries and you checking your own credit report. If you're just checking your own credit report, it doesn't do anything to your credit, because it's just you looking at it. It's just when banks are pulling it, or car loans or whatever is pulling a credit report. You just reviewing your credit report doesn't, you can do it as many times as you want, but the annual credit report, annualcreditreport.com, is the only one that offers it to you for free.
Yeah.
And it's a legitimate, it's one that's advertised with the Federal Trade Commission as the one to use to get your credit report to view it.
So those of you watching on the line online here, that what Kathleen just mentioned is, I'll just essentially say annualcreditreport.com is one that is registered with the Federal Trade Commission, and it is the one that is free, and there's no ding to your credit rating for checking that. But I'll mention, like I have Capital One as my banking, and they have a free credit monitoring service that comes along with my banking, and I can check that every day, and that's not going to ding my credit rating. But good question. Yeah, good thought there. All right, let me close it with this, and we'll take a couple of questions with the time. I didn't think we'd go 2 hours, and we did. This was the original verse I put up there, but I want to close with this one, 1 Peter 1:3. Prepare your minds for action. Be self-controlled, be sober-minded. Set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. I'm using this verse out of context, so let me just put that out there for all of our biblical scholars for a second. So I am taking this verse out of context. But I do want you to hear these words. Prepare your minds for action. Be sober-minded. Okay? That pay attention. Watch what's going on in front of you. Be sober-minded. Be sound-minded. Is it too good to be true? Yes, it's too good to be true. I'm not going to win that sweepstakes. Right? He's not nearly as good a guy as he looks in these pictures. Is it too good to be true? Yeah, be sober-minded. Oh boy, are those, is that $2 that just showed up on my bank account? Is that real or not? Hold on. I remember Cliff. They talked about that at the seminar. Yeah, I need to pay attention to that. And so we do that by preparing our minds for action and being ready. And the idea is this: the Lord has blessed us with His resources for us to steward. He's in control of it, obviously. But I need to do everything I can to not pillage those resources that He's given me to steward while I'm here on this earth. And so that's part of being prepared, being sober-minded. And ultimately, I'm not doing this to hoard the money for myself or anything like that, but that it doesn't fall into the hands of predators. And the world is out to get you. The world is out to get you. And I'm not telling you not to trust people, but I'm telling you not to trust scammers, right? I'm telling you to keep your eyes open, to not answer the phone, to not click a link, to ask questions, and be pretty, and hopefully it's just a good place to start. I'd encourage you to take advantage of the resources I gave you. We'll take 2 or 3 minutes for some questions. I feel like this is second grade where I go, is this a question or a story? But just take a couple, and then I'll stay around for quite a while. But Dennis, I'll start with you. When I go out and buy something, credit card or debit card? Credit or debit? Yes. Am I Dave Ramsey? No, but I mean, you use your debit card. Now, let me tell you this much. So, debit card, if you can't control yourself. If you're like, whoo, I can just slide and glide, well, they don't slide the cards anymore, you tap them. In a very practical way, sometimes use a credit card and we just get to have fun and pay it off whenever, right? If you struggle with how you spend money, debit for sure. Credit is less direct access to your money. So debit is going to come right out of your bank account. Credit is going to hang out there, and we all know that you can call that credit card company and talk to their fraud prevention, and there is a good chunk that you're not going to be responsible for. So I'm more of a fan of credit for safety-wise, but there are some other things about that. Becky, disagree with me? No. Oh, okay.
So you talked about bill pay.
Bill pay, yeah, through the bank. Right. So you have, like I do, like I have auto payment at SMUD. We all use SMUD for some reason. And it comes off of my credit card automatically every month. Now, what I heard Kathleen say is the bill pay is a safer route. Yeah.
It's gonna just depend on, the bill pay is technically the safest route, but it's,
Do they give out the information, in other words, when you use your credit card? They don't give out your credit card information?
But your credit card information is encrypted and stored on their servers,
yeah.
technically.
For example, I mean, they do save that information. There's, how do I say this?
Carefully?
Yeah, you can do both either way.
Yeah.
But I know in some cases, it's easier for the companies just to do an automatic debit from your checking account, like mortgages, for instance. Now, just limit it, and know the company that you're doing this with.
Yeah, I think what Kathleen's saying right there is the big thing, is know the company that you're dealing with. That's when it comes down to it. We use credit cards, we use debit cards every day. It's part of our regular lives. We're not telling you not to use those. It's just be careful with those, who you're using it from. Let me give you one more thing, by the way. Amazon, you will never owe Amazon any money. Okay? The scammers will call and say that you owe $500 to Amazon. That is impossible. Amazon will not send you something without you paying for it first. So that's just it's a very common scam that you mentioned that, yeah.
One thing to keep in mind that's a fairly new thing, which is with your credit card companies, a lot of them now, you can create a
Virtual credit cards, yeah. So I'm going to say this because I'm on the microphone, so I can say it for them. So almost all credit card companies now allow you to create a virtual credit card, and it's a different number than is the number that's on your physical card that you have. It works for your account, but it is much more safe to use. You can use it for online transactions and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's it. Like in your phone wallet? Your phone wallet would be a virtual one. It's a different number. Yeah. If you use Apple Pay and you have your credit card or debit card hooked up to Apple Pay, that's going to be a virtual number. Yeah, it's not the same number that's on your card. PayPal. Be careful with PayPal. Yeah. PayPal owns Venmo, in case you didn't know. So PayPal started up Venmo. A lot of us use Venmo all the time. I use it. But be cautious about companies that require PayPal or Venmo as a payment. I'm not saying that it's a scam, for sure. But, like eBay. Obviously, eBay launched PayPal in a lot of ways. But it's not the best payment source. Yeah. Don't what? Don't sign the back of your card, she says. Yeah, now everything's a tap. Yeah, that's true. All right, Emily. Don't use PayPal for your Social Security, like to be your direct deposit? Okay, thank you. That's a good one. Yeah, appreciate that. Stephen.
My background is, I work with computers and I have triaged a lot of computers.
He's triaged a lot of computers over time.
Because, Microsoft says you have a problem.
Right.
And they take control of your computer.
Yeah, letting somebody, and by the way, I'm saying this for the camera. And so a lot of times there's an opportunity to let a technician take control of your computer to fix a problem that is on your computer. Is that safe? Should you do it? Say no. So here at Sunrise, we have an IT company that controls our network. They take care of our network. I call the IT company. I say, I'm having this problem on my computer. They say, all right, Cliff, we're going to take control of your my pewter. And they jump on and they control my computer and then they log off. Like, that's obviously a legitimate use. But if somebody calls you and says there's a problem and then says, can I take control of your computer? The answer is no.
But if you call Apple and they suggest it,
And you know it's Apple, and you're not just, be cautious. And whenever it's time, if they say, can I take control of your computer? There are very few sources where that's a legitimate. There are a few. So like, we use QuickBooks here at the church. I've had to call QuickBooks tech support because there's something wrong with our software. I would give them permission to get onto my screen and to do that. But I initiated that tech support call, and I knew that I was going to their tech support to do this. But very few that I would allow to do that. Yeah.
two things. If you do have problems with your computer, a lot of times you can take it to Best Buy. They'll do it.
Best Buy is great. Yeah, they're a great one. If you have a Mac, go to Apple. I'd also, this is a great one with your computer. Just restart it. It covers a multitude of sins. Yeah. All right. This is popcorn. Everyone, you only have 10 seconds. Go. Malwarebytes.org. I trust you. MALWAREBITES.org. BYTES. Okay, not bite-sized bites, but no. Free service that will clean out, and I hear you, and I see you, Becky. I'm repeating this for the camera. All right, Becky.
You have to be really careful, like you just said, with make sure it's Apple you're calling.
Right.
If you Google Apple's phone number, you may get some.
You could, and there have been some. What some scammers will do is they will get the algorithms to boost their pages and to boost those pages above the legitimate pages. And so now Apple's not going to be one. You go to apple.com, like that's the right spot. But there are others that will get their pages, their websites elevated above the actual website. And so that's where you just pay attention to what you see out there. Pay attention to what you see. Yeah. All right. I'm going to wrap it up because we've had a lot. The last one, you get it. You're the closing word.
On Venmo, there is a way to pay a business.
Yes.
That is a little more secure. I'm not using it.
Yeah. You can do Venmo. And a lot of businesses now are taking Venmo. May I plead with you, if you use Venmo, do private transactions. Nobody cares that you paid Julie $12 for Starbucks. Okay? If you know how Venmo works, they try to make it into a social network. And you see everybody who paid all your friends all this money for who knows what. Make it a private transaction. Nobody has any business knowing how much you spent giving somebody else some money. Okay? There you go. Let's pray. On that note, let's pray. Lord, I just thank you for my friends here tonight. And Lord, I pray that in the power of your Holy Spirit, you will help us to be aware, awake, paying attention, ready for whatever that the enemy just sends our direction. And I pray that you will just give us the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and to know the truth, Lord. And ultimately, Lord, you're in control. We trust you. And Father, would you have your way in our lives through all of this, Lord? And I pray right now, just even if there are people in this room, Lord, who are stuck in maybe trying to figure out how to climb out of this, I just pray that you would work and move in their hearts and open them up and help us to be people that just trust our friends, the body of Christ that you've put together to walk with us through this, Lord. And so, God, we love you and thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen. All right. Thank you all so much for coming. And we'll be hanging around for a few minutes. So feel free to storm the stage and we'll talk some more.